So we are going to talk about IPR protection, and I'm Dr. Amrish Chandra. So when you talk of patent protection and when you talk of patents and IPR, patent is one of the main things that we do, and it's the most technically advanced protection that we get for an invention, that is patents. Other kind of protections that we have is copyright, we have trademarks, we have trade secrets, geographical indicators, designs, and there are other miscellaneous protections also, like protection for plant variety and semiconductor designs and other things. Now, why do I come into patents and why do I do it? Because it's my passion. I want to help academicians bringing their inventions and their research work in the forefront. Usually, there's not much awareness about patents in the academic field, and therefore, I want to create a lot of awareness about it. When you talk of patents or IPR, it's like intellectual property. So the moment you hear the word property, a few things come to our mind. It could be a house, it could be a car, it could be jewelry, it could be even your mobile phone, a costly watch that you have, anything. All these are property. And like all properties, these properties are either movable or they are immovable. And similarly, when you talk of intellectual property, they are also a kind of property like this only. And the diligence that you do, the efforts that you do when you buy a car, or when you buy a house, or when you buy a jewelry. So you must be remembering that when you brought a jewelry for yourself, or you bought a vehicle for yourself, be it a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, you must have looked at all the specifications of the vehicle, the engine, the color, the company, the after service and everything. So when you buy a house, you look at the location, the pricing, the quality of construction and all those things. Similarly, when you go for a patent, you need to do a similar kind of diligence. So how novel is your patent? Is it inventable or not? Is it patentable or not? Okay. So all those due diligence that you do when you obtain or when you acquire a property like a house or a car, similar kind of a due diligence is also expected when you are protecting your intellectual property. So the way you protect your car, your house, similarly you also need to protect your intellectual property. Now when you talk of intellectual property, there are three criteria that need to be met in order for the government to grant you a protection for your intellectual property, especially the patents. So the criteria is that it should be novel. That's the first thing. It should be non-obvious, and it should have applicability. Now we'll understand in detail what do all these three mean. So when you say new, it basically means that your invention should not have been published anywhere in India or elsewhere. So when you're talking of a patent, and if there is someone who comes and says this particular thing is available in US, but it is not available in India, can I go for a patent of this thing? I will say no, you can't go for a patent of this thing, because it will fail the definition of new, which means that it should not have been published anywhere in the country or globally. That's the first thing. Further, if there is something he says, someone says that my parents, my grandparents or great grandparents knew about this particular thing, and I want to patent it, well, fine, you can patent it uh, if it is not in the public knowledge. So if it is in the public knowledge, if there are people who already know it, if there are a lot of people who know it, then obviously it's not anymore a secret, and you will not be able to patent it. And further, it should not be claimed in any of the patents or specifications in India or abroad. That's the thing. So overall, when you say new, it means that you should not get any written or material regarding its applicability or any oral or a widespread use of a particular technology. That is called as new. The second criteria is an inventive step, that is non-obviousness also you call it. Okay. So whenever you are making an invention, you should remember that your inventive step should have a few features, and these the most important features are that it should involve some technical advancement as compared to the existing knowledge. That's the most important thing. Okay. So if you have already have a tablet formulation and you are making another tablet formulation, or you are making a drug is available as a oral solid dosage form, but you are making it as a in a gel form. Okay. So you will have to tell them what is the technical advancement. So you can say that the drug if taken orally cannot be removed, but if you apply a gel, it can be removed. So it should have some degree of technical advancement. Okay. or it can have economic significance. Like the earlier medicines were costly, this medicine is very much cheap, so that is called as economic significance. uh, Either of these two things, either technical advancement or economic significance, okay. So you should have either the technical advancement or you should have economic significance. And apart from that, you should also have this criteria that the invention should be non-obvious to a person skilled in the art. Okay, it should be non-obvious. So non-obvious means, like if there is a drug and you have already made a gel out of it. Okay, so if you make another drug and make the same kind of a gel, then it's obvious that if you can make a gel out of one thing, you can make the gel for the other thing also. So that will fail the criteria of non-obviousness. So this technical advancement or economic significance or the product that you are making should be widely non-obvious to a person skilled in the art. Now this is not a very clear definition, and as such no clear definition has been given in the Patent Act as to what is non-obvious. The only thing is that you have to consider that if your friend were given all the literature that exists on this earth, will he be able to make the invention that I am making? So if, without disclosing your invention, if all the literature, all the data that is available on internet, Google, or any of the science journals or anything, if all the information that is available on date is made available to a friend of yours who is also an equally qualified person or a higher qualified person, will he be able to make this preparation? So if the answer comes no, then you can say that it is not obvious. Industrial applicability is the third criteria, and it's very easy to meet. So anything which can be made in an industry. So whether you make a tablet, gel formulation, Ayurvedic, herbal preparation, anything, it can be either be made or used in industry. So healthcare industry, pharmaceutical industry, or mechanical, aeronautical, automobile. So somewhere or the other, most of the things are applicable, and you usually don't find anyone objecting to this particular criteria. So this is very easy to meet. Apart from these three criteria of novelty, inventiveness, and industrial applicability, there is a whole big section which is called a Section 3 in the Patent Act 1970. And the most important one section, the important sections for pharmacy profession are Section 3D, 3E, and 3P. Okay. So Section 3D basically says that if you are making salts, esters, ethers, polymorphs, isomers, complexes, or combination, or other derivatives of known substances, okay, then such a thing shall not be considered as patentable unless they differ significantly in properties with regard to efficacy. So when you are mixing two or three things or more things together, so say if you're mixing neem, tulsi, ginger, and all those things together, you will have to prove that this particular combination has got a far higher efficacy as compared to the one which is already existing in the market, and you have to justify as to why this particular preparation will have a higher efficacy. Okay. So the section 3D treats as the mere discovery. So just a discovery of a new form of a substance, or just a mere discovery of a new property, okay, or a new use of a known substance will not lead to patentability. Okay. So if you say that this particular drug was used for, say, as an anti-parasitic, now it is being used as an antiviral drug, can I patent it? No, you will not be able to patent it because new use is not patentable in India. Okay. For new use, you can justify this new use as part of the technical advancement that we studied 2 slides back, okay, in case of inventiveness. But as such, if you want to patent or claim a use of a thing, in India, we don't allow this. So in India, you will have patent for only two things. Either it will be a product or it will be a process. So it could be a product, means it could be a combination, a formulation, okay. You would might be mixing two or three things or more things, okay, with drugs, excipients, and making a combination of formulation. So that will be called as a product. And if you are making a new method of synthesis, a new method of extraction, okay, so those things will come under process. So those two things are patentable. One is the product and the other is the process. Section 3E says some fixed dose combinations, like if you are mixing a few things like neem, haldi, tulsi, all these things will again not be considered as patentable because they are obtained by mere admixture, resulting only in the aggregation of the properties. So say if neem is antibacterial and say tulsi is immunomodulator and ginger is anti-cough, and if you are taking all these three together and you say that it will be antibacterial and immunomodulatory and it will improve the it will be an expectorant, then it will not be patentable because what you're claiming is just a mere admixture of all those three substances. Okay. So if you have a combination, the combination needs to be synergistic. That means the properties need to be different or higher as compared to the individual properties. Another section that is widely quoted in first examination reports or objection reports is section 3P, which says that anything which is known in traditional knowledge is not patentable. So if you say that if you want to patent, say, haldi for wound healing or neem for wound healing property, such things will not be allowed because they are already known in the traditional knowledge. So in this patent, what I am telling you is you can claim a use, okay, in the description of your invention. You can say that this particular thing has got this use, and this use could be a new use, no problem. But if you want to have this new use as part of your claims, you will not be allowed to have it. So remember the difference. You will not be able to have a new use as a claim in the patent, but you need to prove the use or its application in order to justify the technical advancement. Okay. So don't think that even if you don't do any in vitro or in vivo activities, you will be able to get a patent. So in order to justify the patent, you will have to have some degree of lab work, in vitro, or better in vivo work. Okay. So an invention which is in fact its traditional knowledge, or which is an aggregation or duplication of known properties of traditionally known components or components, is not allowable. So all the sections under section 3 tell about things which are not patentable. Now, when you come to patents, there are different types of application. The most common is provisional application. So provisional application is when you file something when you are not exactly ready with your invention. You have an idea, you think that this idea can work, and you also think that I will be able to generate the or do the experimental work and everything within 12 months period and generate the data. Then in that case, provisional application is the most suitable thing. You can apply for it. In India and across the globe, protection is given or granted to a person who files first. So if you and your some other colleague in some other university somewhere else are working on the same things, and he is the first one to file, he will get the patent on that, and you will not get the patent on that. So that is why we call it filing first. File as soon as you are ready with the work. However, this is an optional thing. If you are ready with your complete things, you can file an ordinary application. And you also have a provision, like when you file a provisional application, within 12 months, you need to file a full application. And then if you want to go abroad with your application, you have options for convention application, PCT, national phase. So these are the three things when you want to go abroad. And there's another thing which is called as patent of addition. Now, as a researcher, you might be doing one studies today, and then later on, after say 6 months or an year or 2 years later, you find that this is not the best formulation. If this formulation is prepared like this, it would be a better formulation. You don't need to go and file a new patent. You can go and file a patent of addition. The cost of filing and prosecuting will be the same when you file the patent of addition, but you will not be required to pay the maintenance fee for a patent of addition. Okay. And sometimes if you are very enthusiastic and you are claiming a lot many things in the single patent invention, so then the examiner will ask you to file a divisional application. Okay, so he will ask you to divide your application into 2 or 3 things if you have taken up a lot more into the single patent. Now this is the flow, how it works. So you file a provisional patent, you have a period of 12 months, you file the application. So whatever you do, you file the provisional on day one or you file a complete specification on day one, the time period or the clock starts ticking from the day you file your first application. That is called as a priority application. Okay, and the time period, all that is shown over here in red colors, is from the date of priority. So once you have done this, you can go for your application is filed, and then application will be published in 18 months. So when we say publication, it does not mean publication in a journal, but it means publication in an official gazette of the patent office. That also is called as a patent journal, basically. But they will be publishing your abstract, and the entire patent application that you have made will be visible on the website of the patent office. Okay, so that is what it is. So this 18 months period is the secrecy period. They would like to maintain the secrecy for 18 months. So globally, it's the same thing. So whether you file in India, US, or anywhere, it's 18 months, unless you want that your patent should be made public much earlier. So what is the advantage of making it published or available to the public much earlier? It is that you are telling the world that this is your work, you have filed this work, and this patent belongs to you. So anyone who is working or thinking of working on this particular grounds or particular thing should not be doing the work, because you have already filed a patent for this. So the day you file your patent, you consider that the patent is yours and you have full rights on your patent. You can start working on it. Okay, you don't need to wait till the grant of the patent. Okay, and after you have published your patent, whether it's early publication within a month or it's free of cost at 18 months, you need to go for another thing which is called as request for examination. So unless you file this request for examination, the time period is 48 months, that is 4 years from the date of priority. You can file this request for examination, and only when you file this request for examination, your patent will be taken up with the patent office and evaluated for patentability, that is for novelty, inventiveness, industrial applicability, section 3D, and all those things. Okay, and once they examine this, they will issue a report which is called as first examination report. So once you get the first examination report, it will have various clauses citing that your patent is similar to this work, and this work. So why should your patent be granted? You need to be calm and conscious and work out and see what is the difference between your invention and the invention that the patent examiner has quoted. You have 6 months of time in reporting that, giving reply to the patent office. So once you give a satisfactory reply, they will take a decision on the grant. However, if the decision is not very positive from their side, they might call you for a face-to-face online counseling or online interaction, which is called as hearing. And based on this hearing, they will further take up the decision whether to grant you the patent or not. So you file the application, and the filing information details are available in ipindia.nic.in. Okay. Formality check. So when you file the application, if you're filing it online, the system will automatically check if all the documents are attached or not. If you're filing by hand or hard copy, the person on the window will be checking up the formalities, whether all the papers and everything are there or not, all the forms are there or not, and then he will issue you the receipt for patent filing, and you will get an application number. Once that is done, you can wait for 18 months for the patent to be published, or you can go for early publication, in which case within 1 month your patent is published. And this is how the patent publishing looks. So it will be like heading, official journal of the patent office. It will have an issue number. It's published on every Friday. So it's a weekly publication. Every Friday you get it published. The date, and then you have application number on the top, the title, okay, the date of filing, publication date, classification, and who has filed, the name of the applicant and name of the inventors, and then you have the abstract, and it will tell the number of pages and number of claims that you have filed. So this is how a publication in an official journal would look like. Further, you can request for examination. So once you file it, the time period is 48 months. But if you file the request for examination on day one, along with the application, your application enters the long queue for examination, and it is examined much earlier. So if you wait for 18 months or you wait for 6 months or 1-2 years to file request for examination, the later you file, the later your application will enter into the queue for examination. Okay, so it has got its own advantages and disadvantages. So if you file early, you have a chance of getting a decision early. But if you want to wait and see if your patent is commercializable or not and other things, you can delay the request for examination also. So once the examination is done, you get the report from the examination office, which is called as FER. And there's an option for expedited examination also. So usually the application fees for examination is 4,000. But if you pay double the fees, it's called as expedited examination, and your application will be examined within a shorter period of time. That is called as expedited examination. So you have this FER is issued within a period of say around 6 months, but usually depends on the queue that is there with the examiner. So if the examiner already has got 100 applications to deal with, your application will applications number will come only after that. Okay. So examination report comes, and then you have an opportunity to reply to it within 6 months. If you want to extend it, you can extend it by 3 months further, but this extension has to be done within the 6 months. So after the 6 months lapse, you can't do anything. But if you want to extend it by 3 months, you can do it on payment of certain fees. And then you file the response to application. This you have 6 months time plus 3 months to think. And once the objections are met, the controller will take the decision on the grant of the patent. So once the grant of the patent is decided, the certificate will be issued either the same day or within 7 days. Okay. And this is an important clause for patent applications which are having any of the biological material, be it plant, animal origin or microbial origin, anything which is from India. So if you're using any plants, herbs which are from India, then you will have to cater to the guidelines of National Biological Authority, and you will have to submit a NBA form also. So this is an additional form, an additional application on a separate website which needs to be made to the National NBA for granting approval for using your material in the patent application. Okay. So these are the various forms. So application for the grant of patent, you need to file form 1. The cost is 160 rupees. 10 claims and 29 pages is what is included in 1600 rupees. But if you want to have more than 10 claims, per claim you will have to pay 320 rupees, and per extra page you have to pay 160 rupees. Provisional and complete specifications, whatever you file first, you will have, there's no fees for either of these two things. Okay. But if you increase the number of claims in the complete specifications, or the number of pages increase in the complete specifications, then the same pricing will be applicable. Then there's another form, form 3, which is a statement of undertaking, saying that you have not made any application abroad, and if you have made any application abroad, you are disclosing those details to the patent office. So that is form 3. There's no fees for it, but it's mandatory to file it. Declaration of inventorship, like these people are the inventors and these are the applicants, which need to be clearly told to the patent office. That is form 5. Request for publication, it's optional. If you want to file that, form 9 has to be used, and the cost is 2,500. Ordinary request for examination is 4,000 in form 18. But if you want to make an express request, the cost is 8,000. And if you are availing the services of a registered patent agent, then there is form 26 that also needs to be filed. There is no fees for it. Okay, just you need to put a stamp paper. This is how the patent application look like. Okay. And this is how the grant certificate looked like. So this application, it was filed in 2019 by us, and it was granted in 2020. So in less than a year, this patent application was granted for a professor in Jamia Ahmedabad, Delhi. Okay. And how do you know if your patent application is innovative? So you need to do something called as prior art search, which is very much similar to the literature review that all the researchers and faculty members have already been doing. But when you are doing a prior art or literature review for your patent, you need to be careful that you can't miss anything. So when you are writing a paper or something, you can be a little casual. You can just go through the data of last 10 years, 20 years. Okay. Um, but when you are doing a patent search, you need to go through all the data that you have. And importantly, you also need to go to through the journals, but you also need to search all the patents, all the journals, websites, news, and you need to do a Google search also with whatever information you are having for the patent. So all this thing has to be done. The prior art search in case of patent filing has to be more elaborate, and it's to be better targeted by using proper keywords. So now suppose if you are say planning to file for patent application for say a herbal formulation for say hair loss. Okay, so you might be trying say X drug, say neem and hair loss as a keyword. But again, some else might not be using the word hair loss. Some might be using the word alopecia, or some other person might be using some other terms for it. Okay, or he might not be using the term hair loss at all, and he must just be comparing a formulation. Okay, a normal formulation. So you need to be very cautious about the keywords you're using, how you're using the combinations to find out the relevant prior art for your patent. Okay. That is what will determine the novelty. That is what will determine the inventiveness of your patent. So again, these two very crucial criteria can only be justified if you are doing a thorough prior art search. And once you come to this patents, there are other things which are like, sorry, the design spelling is wrong. So you have designs, copyright, and trademarks other than patents. So when you come to designs, designs could be anything. It could be the design for a bag, shoe, bike, camera, a new kind of a spatula, a new kind of a test tube, a new design for a burette stand, a new design for a conical flask, a new design for a dissolution apparatus, a new design for a animal experimentation model that you want to do. Okay, so a new design for a Soxhlet apparatus. Okay, so you can have designs for n number of things that you want. Okay, there's no harm in that. Okay, so you just see that this particular phone, this mobile phones, earlier they used to be more of a rectangular in shape, and then the curved feature came into existence. And Samsung and iPhone fought in court of law just to claim who owns this curved feature. Okay. So there is a lot of things going on in design sector, and again, it's a very very important thing to take it up. Okay. And copyrightable work, anything that you write is automatically copyrighted. Write, make drawings, or anything, any music that you write, any thesis or anything that you do is a copyrightable work, and you can copyright it. Okay, and copyright can be done on the copyright website. You can go to the e-filing application, create your user ID, login, fill up the forms, fill up the details, and you can submit the application with the fees of 500 rupees. Okay, so that is what you need to do to get a copyright. And then there is another important thing which is called as trademark. So if you happen to invent a new formulation, a new process, okay, and you want to give it a particular unique name by which you want to get this particular process or product identified, you or a machine or anything, then you can give it a trademark. Okay, so trademark is typically a name, word, phrase, logo, or a design, image, sound combination. So we all know the various these trademarks, and each of these trademarks incites in us a feeling of brand value into it. Okay, so that is the advantage of the brand. So trademarks, if played very correctly, the trademarks alone go for a huge value. They have a huge value, a monetary value attached to them once the brand becomes popular. Okay. So you can get value out of patents, you can get value out of designs, copyright, trademarks. So all those things can be patentable. the protection. These are called as intellectual property rights. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for patient listening. So if you have any questions, I'm open to the questions.
Thank you, sir. That was a very nice presentation, and I think it will be informative to all the faculties and the research scholars who have joined over here. And if you have any clarifications regarding the filing of patents and every discussion is welcome. So, sir is there to clarify with you.